grab the potion bottles because it's time for us to head to Lawmage Academy. Talk to me about how big the game world is, because it's a grid-based world, so there's always potential to add on to it when you fully release the game. But right now in the demo, how big can players expect that game to be?
The game is about 12 months. Oh, sorry, 10 months. 10 months of and per month there's 20 days. The current demo you have the school as the main area, and then the other areas are just dungeons. From a game design level, it's not an open world area really, but these are dungeons. And in terms of lore, the game Magus Gaia is a country, and it's set near the equator. So there's no winter, so you can expect maybe 10 areas, 10 dungeons, aside from the quest specific dungeons, because at the end of the month there's like a specific quest, an end of the month quest similar to Fire Emblem Three Houses. At the end of the month you have a mission. So those dungeons are non-repeatable. Maybe some of them will be, but most of them won't be repeatable. So those plus an area of maybe 8 to 10 dungeons that you can explore and collect ingredients from. But yeah, you're right, you can always expand on those maps. Let's say one dungeon is in a forest, you can always expand the forest, right? One dungeon is in a cave, you can always expand. Even the school, because since this is a soft magic kind of system, it's not a hard magic, there's not a lot of rules. It's easy to expand. You can just say there's a magic wall in the school, and then there's a new area in the school.
With this game, you said you made it an RPG maker, right? So yes. A lot of developers, when they make their first game, they kind of gravitate towards usually a 2D platformer, right? So with you, was there a specific reason you picked a top-down game like this?
There's two main reasons. The first one is that RPG Maker MV is at that time in 2018, it was the most accessible one because it went for free on Steam. It's the very first game engine that I encountered. So I tried it out. I had fun with it. It was simple, easy to learn. And secondly, I like Persona 4, Persona 3 and 4. I haven't played 5 yet, but I really liked how 3 was, in terms of story, Persona 3 was really good. Persona 4 was better in terms of game mechanics, in my opinion. But I also like games from NIS, like Manakemia. It's actually from the Atelier series, and Manakemia is the alchemy school spin-off. I like the I like the art. I like the art direction, the design. I wanted to cross those two because Manakemia could have benefited so much more if they were more akin to Persona 4, Persona 3. So I wanted to have that cross, and I was waiting for that. But I said, instead of waiting for developers to make this game, I'll just make it. And RPG Maker has already, systems and a database for skills, monsters, characters, which you'll have to make or maybe find something similar when it comes to Unity or Game Maker. I'm not sure because I've never tried it, but RPG Maker takes care of that already. Yeah. All you have to do is put in the stats, the skills, and maybe the art, and you're good to go. That's why I chose RPG Maker. So in other words, I had a specific idea that I wanted to make, and RPG Maker seems to be the best tool at this time, since it's my very first game. But we always have to remember that the game engine is simply a tool, so it's how you use the tool. And I also like that there are limitations, because limitations actually breed creativity. It actually helped me make decisions in the game design around those limitations. I could make those decisions decisively because I know the game will, because I'm limited by the game engine. Yeah. And it worked. I mean,
when you're developing this, especially with it being your first game, what's kind of the hardest part of developing that game?
The art itself. Pixel art takes less time to make than traditional art, but it still takes time. I had to learn color theory a little bit because it's not paint. It's not paint. It's not like you can just combine colors and this is your new color. Pixel art is very specific colors. So I had to learn how to pick the right color. So I had to learn the formulations like plus 45 in hue, things like that. Also the anatomy. I don't have background in art, so I had to learn how to draw a little bit, how to sketch the body part. Even though you can see in the battle sprites, these are chibi anime types, you still have to make the body parts proportional, right? The torso should be proportional to the legs and the head. The general shape when you're moving the arms or the hands, it should make sense. So I had to learn that. I had to sketch. There's a website where you can do sketches every day, 3 minutes per sketch. Even the writing part, because mine's a very story-based game. I'm not a creative writing major. I do have, every now and then I have some ideas, but it's not like I made a novel.
Yeah.
But even that, I had to YouTube some tutorials, like world building, the very concept of world building. I don't learn it. And the magic systems, how do you make what is a magic system, right? In the first place. I had to watch those and then really just sit there with a cup of coffee and brainstorm and type.
A game like this with such an emphasis on that emotional aspect to it. And is there even a way to talk about the story behind the game without spoilers, or?
The very basic ones. the very basic premise of the game is you're new. You got invited to an exclusive school, which is Lawmage Academy, and not everyone can get in. So you got invited to study there. And then after your first class, you find a mysterious book. And this book guides you through the whole journey. And, it's basically just learning new spells, making friends. But as you keep going through the months, keep going through the story, you find certain things which you start to think are questionable.
Yeah.
That there's something more behind this event, and it's about discovering what's behind that.
With this game, there's a lot of emphasis on world building, on building, the story around your character, on talking to the different people within the world itself. So with a game that focuses on something like that as heavily as it does, talk to me about, multiple storylines, multiple endings, things like that. Kind of how does that work into this game, if at all, and where's the challenge in creating that?
One of the inspirations when I was writing the plot and the branching storylines in a way is Life is Strange.
Okay.
Life is Strange. So it's a choice-based game. Some would say it's a walking simulator. Well, but there's an emphasis on choices. But actually, per chapter, it would diverge. And then by the next chapter, it would converge again.
Okay.
Same with all chapters. But at the very end of the whole thing, you just have two choices in the end. So those are your two endings. I'm not sure if there's a secret ending. Those are just two endings.
Yeah.
But still, people feel that their choices in the game actually mattered.
Yeah.
Because it reflected in the world, even though in the next chapter, you're still basically going through the same arc. So I took inspiration from that, and they call it as a bead. Instead of a branching storyline, like, I don't know, Witcher, it's more of a bead. They're still connected, but it branches and then comes back again together, branches, comes back. So that was my inspiration.
Okay.
So there's no two completely unique, like, it's not like, oh, this is the Jedi route, this is the Sith route. It's still, in a way, the Lawmage Academy linear story, but you can diverge with the little details, and those little details will pile up and create a unique experience for you. I mean, you can even play through the game without any party members. You can play through its solo route, and it's a bit more challenging because there's no hard mode in the game.
Yeah.
But you can make your own hard mode by setting some limitations for yourself. But yes, per month in the game, you can make choices, and those choices will reflect in the coming months. But there are some endings. The main story will have several different endings, and there will be endings for, like, who are you closest with throughout your whole playthrough. You will have a separate ending for that.
One thing that came to mind when I was playing this game, Fable 2 came to me. I was thinking about, you can choose the good path or the bad path. Can you do that in this game? Is that something, where you choose, to do the more shady choices, I guess you could say, the people around you view you differently, they see you as the villain character. Is that something at any point that you thought about putting in this game?
The game, there are some shady choices. You can choose to lie or tell the truth, things like that.
Yeah.
But really, the game is about moral ambiguity, the grayness of morality and ethics. So I want players to think there's no clear villain in this game. I mean, at first there will be, but then as you think more about it, I want players to think hard about it and really reflect on who really is the bad guy, and is there even a good guy? Am I the good guy considering everything that I've done? Things like that. So I want player to have that kind of thought and discussion, because as I said, I'm a philosophy major. I want people to think about it. I don't just want to say this is the bad guy, it's a good guy. And in JRPGs, you kill God and then you save the world. You're a bunch of teenagers that killed God. You save the world, right? It's not like that. It's more of figuring out your own path.
Yeah.
And reflecting on your choices and reflecting on what's happening around you and deciding for yourself.
The houses you get sorted into, does that have a major impact on the story itself?
No major impact, but it will give you access to house-specific items, weapons, armors, maybe some quests.
You mentioned, armor, weapons, stuff like that. So your house really, it keys in on basically your play style more than anything. Yeah. Okay. So kind of talk to me about the play style. Talk to me about your combat. Talk to me about, you can do potions, you can, learn these different magic spells, things like that. So kind of walk me through the different ways you can go into combat and how combat itself works.
So the combat was inspired by Shin Megami Tensei, and Octopath Traveler.
Okay.
So in Octopath Traveler, enemies have shields. When you hit a weakness, their shields will go down by 1 point. If their shields go to 0, they will be stunned for 1 turn, and when you hit them, they will take more damage. That's how it went in Octopath Traveler. Or what I think they could have gone further is to apply that same system to the players, because the players didn't have shields in Octopath Traveler. Here, the players will have shields. So you have to pay attention to your weaknesses as well. So aside from weaknesses, you also have, potions, which you can craft. The standard ones to remove poison, bleed, heal your mana, and so on. But you will customize your spells. So sometimes, like, you will regret not taking that fire spell, for example, but you could just buy these crystals in the school. I call them shards in the school. Yeah. These are one-time spells. If you didn't buy them, well, that's your fault for forgetting, and that's where the choice and awareness comes in the game, actually. And you can also change up your party members, of course, depending on the build. And what I plan to do, which a lot of RPGs don't do, is that, how some bosses are immune from poison or bleed, stuff like that?
Yeah.
I want bosses to be vulnerable to those states. So you can actually kill bosses through poison or through bleed and stuff like that.
So you said the game's 10 months long. You said there's a boss at the end of every month, correct? So
yeah, special mission.
Okay.
Every month.
Walk me through kind of some of the different bosses you're going to face off against.
Each month will focus on a specific game mechanic.
Okay.
So let's say on month 2, you'll encounter poison. On month 3, you'll encounter bleed. Month 4, you'll encounter maybe silence.
Okay.
So per month, the game will introduce you to a certain game mechanic. And the game design philosophy that I like is that the bosses should test the player's knowledge of the game mechanics. So the boss at the end of the month, you can expect it to be a boss that inflicts bleed. You have to play around that. And same with the characters that you will recruit for that month. They will somewhat be related to the game mechanics for that month. And later on, once I run out of game mechanics to introduce, then I will change it up a bit by, this boss can inflict both poison and bleed. This boss can inflict silence and this. And they're also immune to this tool that you have. Those kinds of bosses will play around on the game mechanics that are introduced to you per month.
And you can bring these side characters into the boss fights with you, or are they not able to come in there with you? How does that work?
Right. So the party system per month, or even if you want to go outside the school, or you have a mission at the end of the month, you get the chance to choose which 3 characters are you taking with you. You get to invite friends, maximum of 4 per party. I can see players choosing just their favorite ones and ignoring everyone else. I can see players mixing it up. So, some players I'll just go solo for the challenge of it, right?
If you go solo, I'm assuming though it's much more of a challenge. It's going to be harder to beat
much
those.
More of a challenge.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you get more EXP, so that compensates for the difficulty. You advance in level faster in a way, so you have more HP, more stats.
Potions would be an equivalent to kind of like a crafting system in a game, right? So you're going to go out, and you're going to kind of have these quests to find ingredients and buy ingredients, and then walk me through. Can you just craft anywhere, or are there specific crafting stations? Kind of how does that work in the game?
Right. So in the dungeons, you can gather ingredients similar to the Atelier series, Manakemia, but you can only craft in the school. There are designated crafting stations.
Yeah.
So again, choices. It's not just about narrative choices. It's about decisions on when you're going out. What are you preparing before you go out? Things like that. So it really gives a lot of weight on decisions on the part of the player.
With that in mind, we haven't really touched on pretty much one of the key components to the game, which is, taking these different classes and getting these different skills. Kind of explain that to me in a nutshell, how that will work and how that will advance you as you go through the game.
So every month you can go inside the main building, and there's a Lawmage waiting for you in the front desk. And if you talk to that Lawmage, she will offer the classes available for that month. Some are limited time, some are, they're there forever until you finish them. It's possible that you don't take these classes at all. You just, level up and stuff. That's one of the challenges for me. Like, is that a viable thing? Will it cause bugs? Will it cause a soft lock? But so far, I don't think it will. You will miss out for sure because you won't be able to access these dungeons or these characters. But theoretically, it is possible. So you just go there. You unlock what you can. Sometimes you know what you're going to unlock. Sometimes you don't know what you're going to unlock when you attend a class. So there's a bit of a mystery, but at the same time, it's not all anonymous. It's not all secret. Right?
Yeah, you're unlocking these different skills and spells and things of that nature. Would that kind of have a parallel to, say, a kind of skills tree essentially, where you unlock a spell and then you advance it with more classes and kind of keep pushing it forward and making it more powerful.
It is, in a way, like a skill tree, but you don't really actually see the skill tree progression. But there is, in a way, like that. By the way, there are books in the game, and so the way most RPGs do it is you level up, and when you hit a certain level, learn a new skill.
Yeah.
In this game, you actually have to spend days studying a book before you learn that spell, or you have to attend a class, or you have to go through a story mission to unlock your aura skill. So it's not about levels, it's about what do you want to learn, how much time are you willing to invest in your own spells.
Do you kind of have a date in mind for release at this point, or is it still up in the air depending on kind of how the next few months go for you?
Yeah, originally I planned 2022, but it doesn't seem to be viable. I need more time, so it's probably 2023.
Is there anything you kind of wanted to touch on specifically before we kind of wrapped it up?
If you'd like to support the game, you can wishlist on Steam. Wishlist will help visibility for the game when it does launch. Share to your friends. Demo is free, both on itch.io and Steam. You can download it there for free. But I'm really looking for more wish lists on Steam. And you can join the Discord as well. The link is in the itch and in the Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, Lawmage Academy, or Instagram and Facebook. You can also follow me there.
And there is Lawmage Academy, a magical journey through a JRPG-styled world, a top-down, pixelated world of epic proportions. I had a great time talking about this game. The demo is over on itch.io for you to explore and experience. And while you're checking out the game, why not go wishlist it over on Steam, check out their Discord, all their other social media pages, and of course, like, comment, and subscribe while you're over here. But until next time, I'm Nick. This is The Side Quest, and I will see you next time.